What is the main purpose of DNS server? DNS server are used to resolve FQDN hostname into IP addresses and vice versa. What is the port number of DNS? Port 53. What is a forward lookup? Resolving hostname to IP addresses. What is reverse lookup? It is a file contain host names to IP mapping information. What is a resource records? It is a record provides the information about the resources available in the network infrastructure. What are the different DNS roles? Standard primary, standard secondary, and AD integrated. What is a zone? Zone is a sub tree of DNS database. Secure services in your network require reverse name resolution to make it more difficult to launch successful attacks against the services. To set this up, you configure a reverse lookup zone and proceed to add records. Which records types do you need to create? PTR records. SOA records must be included in every zone. What are they used for? SOA records contain a TTL value used by default in all resource records in the zone. SOA records contains the email address of the person who is responsible for maintaining the zone. SOA records contain the current serial number of the zone which is used in zone transfer. By default, if the name is not found in the cache or local host file, what is the first steps the client takes to resolve the FQDN name into an IP address? Performs a recursive search through the primary DNS server based on the network interface configuration. What is primary, secondary, stub, and AD integrated zone? Primary zone. Primary zone, which is saved as normal text file with file name .dns in DBS folder, maintains a read-write copy of zone database. Secondary zone maintains a read-only copy of zone database on another DNS server, provides fault tolerance and load balancing by acting as backup server to primary server. Stub zone contain a copy of name server and SOA records used for reducing the DNS search orders, provides fault tolerance and load balancing. How do you manually create SRV records in DNS? This is on Windows Server. Go to run dnsmgmt.msc, right click on the zone you want to add SRV records. To add, choose other new record and choose service location SRV. What is the main purpose of SRV records? SRV records are used in locating host that provides content network services. Before installing you first domain controllers in the network, you install a DNS server and created a zone, naming it as you would name your AD domain. However, after the installation of the domain controller, you are unable to locate infrastructure SRV records anywhere in the zone. What is the most likely cause of this failure? The zone you created was not configured to allow dynamic updates. The local interface on the DNS servers was not configured to allow dynamic updates. Which of the following condition must be satisfied to configure dynamic DNS updates for legacy clients? The zone to be used for dynamic updates must be configured to allow dynamic updates. The DHCP server must support and be configured to allow dynamic update for legacy clients. At some point during the names resolution process, the requesting party received authoritative reply. Which further action are likely to be taken after this reply? After receiving the authoritative reply, the resolution process is effectively over. Name 3 benefits of using AD integrated zone. Active Directory integrated DNS enables Active Directory storage and replication of DNS zone database. Windows 2000 DNS server. The DNS server that is included with Windows 2000 server accommodates storing zone data in Active Directory. When you configure a computer as a DNS server, zones are usually stored as a text files on name server. That is, all of the zones required by DNS are stored in a text file on the server computer. These text files must be synchronized among DNS servers by using a system that requires a separate replication topology and schedule called a zone transfer. However, if you use Active Directory integrated DNS, when you configure a domain controller as a DNS name server, zone data is stored as an Active Directory object and is replicated as part of domain controller. Domain replication. Your company uses 10 domain controllers, 3 of which are also used as DNS server. You have one company-wide AD integrated zone which contains several thousand resources records. This zone also allows dynamic updates, and it is critical to keep this zone up to date. Replication between domain controllers takes up a significant amount of bandwidth. You are looking to cut bandwidth uses for the purpose of replication. What should you do? Change the replication scope to all DNS servers in the domain. You are administering a network connected to the internet. Your users complain that everything is slow. Preliminary research of the problem indicates that it takes a considerable amount of time to resolve names of resources on the internet. What is the most likely reason for this? DNS servers are not caching replies. Local client computer are not caching replies. The cache.dns file may have been corrupted on the server. What are the benefits of using Windows 2003 DNS when using integrated AD integrated zone? If your DNS topology includes Active Directory, use Active Directory integrated zone. Active Directory integrated zones enable you to store zone data in the Active Directory database. Zone information about any primary DNS server with an Active Directory integrated zone is always replicated. Because DNS replication is a single master, a primary DNS server is a standard. Primary DNS zone can be a single point of failure. In an Active Directory integrated zone, a primary DNS server cannot be a single point of failure because Active Directory uses multi-master replication. Updates that are made to any domain controller are replicated to all domain controller, and the zone information about any primary DNS server within an Active Directory integrated zone is always replicated. Active Directory integrated zones enable you to secure zones by using secure dynamic updates, provides increased fault tolerance. Every Active Directory integrated zones can be replicated to all domain controllers within the Active Directory domains or forest. All DNS servers running on these domain controllers can act as a primary servers for the zone and accept dynamic updates. Enable replication that propagates change data only, compresses replicated data, and reduces network traffic. If you have an Active Directory infrastructure, you can only use Active Directory integrated zones on Active Directory domain controllers. If you are using Active Directory integrated zones, you must decide whether or not to store Active Directory integrated zones in the application directory partitions. You can combine Active Directory integrated zones and file based zone in the same design. For example, if the DNS server that is authoritative for the private root zone is running on an operating system other than Windows Server 2003 or Windows 2000, it cannot act as an Active Directory domain controller. Therefore, you must use file based zone on that server. However, you can delegate this zone to any domain controller running either Windows Server 2003 or Windows 2000.